Hey everyone, welcome to This Week in AI and Family Life. Today we're talking about something a little controversial. Our topic today is about cognitive agency. I wrote an article, I don't know if you've seen it, a little while back, and published it this last week. And it brought quite a few interesting comments. So I thought, let me do this pop-up and see where we stand with this. So first, I want to welcome everyone. I'm so glad you're here. I know how busy you are. Glad you took the time for this really important subject. So I want to start by asking you to just sit for a minute. Read what's on the screen. AI is not the threat, passive parenting is. I know it's provocative, and if you spent the last 2 years genuinely worried about AI, trying to do something about it, worried about it doing what it's doing to your kids, maybe it even feels a little bit unfair because you've been doing your best. And I get it. So listen, you showed up here today and you're thinking, doesn't that count for something? Well, guess what? It does. It counts for a lot, actually. The fact that you're here tells me you're not a passive parent. You're someone who is paying attention. And that's exactly who this conversation is for, because you're the ones who will spread the word even faster. Okay. So before we go any further, let me tell you what today is not. It is not a lecture, it is not a guilt trip, and it is absolutely not another doom and gloom session about how AI is going to ruin our kids and we're all powerless to stop it. I am so tired of that narrative, and I think you are too. So what today is a reframe, because I think we've been scared of the wrong thing. And when you're scared of the wrong thing, what do? We protect against the wrong thing. And our kids end up no safer, and we end up totally exhausted. So if you don't know me, my name's Debra Kane. I'm a certified CBT coach and a neuroscience enthusiast, which is just a polite way of saying I find the human brain genuinely fascinating, and I'll bring it up at every chance I get. Dinner parties, walk in the park, wherever I am. So be prepared if you ever see me. Anyway, I work with parents, mostly moms, who are trying to raise emotionally intelligent, capable kids in a world that is moving way faster than any parenting book was ever written for. And today I want to share something that changed the way I think about AI, about parenting, and honestly, even about myself. So let's get into it. Take a look at the slide. Oh, it would help if I changed the slide, wouldn't it? Okay, so take a look at the slide. And let me move myself. Okay, on the left, you've got all the things that we blame. Things like AI, screens, algorithms, the future, as if the future is some entity out there, right, plotting against our children. And on the right, we have the truth that most parents don't want to admit. They don't want to hear. AI is not raising your kids. Your level of engagement absolutely is. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not pointing fingers. That's not me. I'm not standing up here never having handed my kid a device and walked away to answer emails in peace. I have, you have, we all have. That's just called surviving parenthood. It's being human, right? There's no shame in it. But here's what I've noticed, and maybe you've noticed it too. When something goes sideways with our kids and with technology, our first instinct is what? To blame technology, right? It's not my kid's fault. It's not my fault. It's technology. The app was addictive. The algorithm fed them the wrong content. AI gave them the answer, and now they don't want to think anymore. And you know what? Some of that is really true. But we are all skipping right over the most important variable in that equation, which is, where were we? Because here's the hard truth. I've had to sit with myself. We cannot outsource our presence. We can outsource scheduling, we can outsource research, we can outsource the first draft of a lot of things, but we can't outsource being the adult in the room. So when our kids encounter something that they're not ready for, we need to step up. We need to put in the effort and help our kids to learn the right way, to use technology for good. Not because AI is evil, but because nothing, no algorithm, no app, no AI system in existence can replace a parent who is engaged, curious, and paying attention. And I know this is not easy. I know that all of us already look for ways that we can be there for our kids. And again, taking a shortcut sometimes is not breaking your kids. We all need a break. The key here is sometimes, not most of the time. So that's where we start. Now, let's talk about where we actually are, because I think I have to move myself again. So sorry. I don't know why, but I can't make myself any smaller. If it gets to be a problem, I'm just going to close my camera for a minute. Anyway, I want to talk now about where we actually are, because I think a lot of parents are operating like AI is something coming in the future, like we have time to prepare, like this is still theoretical. It's not, guys. Look at these numbers. Over 60% of American adults are already using AI. And that's probably conservative. 35% report using it at least weekly. At least. And that's not talking about only people who use it for business like me. I mean, I use it a lot. But if you don't have a reason to use it in your business, you're still probably using it, which is good, and I'll get to that later. And here's the one thing that gets me every time that I read this. Millions more don't even realize that they're using it, because AI is embedded everywhere in the tools we already use every day. It's in your email, it's in your search results, it's in your customer service chat, it's in your kid's homework helper. So AI is already here. We know that. It's not news to us. It moved in without asking, rearranged the furniture, and made itself very comfortable. And we got used to it. But we're still sitting around here waiting for government to sort this out. I want to gently but firmly say this. That is not a plan. That is a wish. I think we can all agree governments move slowly. They don't do anything quickly. Technology, on the other hand, moves fast. And the gap here between those two speeds is where your kid is living their life right now. So we cannot wait for regulation to protect us from our own habits. It's just not going to happen fast enough, if at all. This is totally on us. It's up to all of us, parents, grandparents, family members, friends. This is the hard work that we signed up for when we became parents. Even though nobody put navigate the AI revolution in the job description, we have to be more aware of our own use. We have to stop making excuses, and we have to decide right now, today, what we are going to be intentional about. Not perfect, but intentional. There's a big difference, and I'll come back to that later. Let's see the next slide. Oh yes, this is good. Okay, now I want to get a little bit nerdy, just a little, for a minute, because this is where my neuroscience brain gets very excited and slightly alarmed at the same time. The term on this slide is cognitive atrophy, and I want you to really understand what that means, because it's not just a scary sounding phrase. It's a description of something that happens to the brain when we stop using it in certain ways. Atrophy, you know this word from fitness probably. If you stop using a muscle, it gets weaker. Everybody knows that. The brain works the same way. Neural pathways that aren't used regularly become less efficient. Skills that we don't practice get harder to access. This is not a metaphor. This is actual neuroscience. Now, studies published recently, October of 2025, it's not so long ago, in one of the most respected medical research databases confirmed what a lot of researchers have been warned about for a couple of years now. And that is generative AI dependency, meaning relying on AI to do your thinking for you, predicts lower academic achievement, and something called false self-efficacy. I want to stay on that for just a moment because it's sneaky. False self-efficacy means your child believes they are capable of something, they feel confident about it, but the confidence is built on a foundation that isn't really theirs. AI did the work, the child got the credit, and they don't even know they're missing the actual skill underneath it. Some adults have this happening to them as well. And this is a problem. It's a problem that doesn't show up until it really matters, though. It shows up on standardized tests with no AI allowed, or it shows up in job interviews. It shows up in the hard conversations where they have to think on their feet with no tool to bail them out. You ever ask a kid a question and they give you that blank stare? I have to wonder, where's their mind going? Are they thinking? Sometimes they don't even know. And the three specific capacities that over-reliance weakens are these: autonomous learning, critical thinking, and analytical thinking. So autonomous learning is the ability to figure things out independently, right? You don't have to always research. You can sometimes figure it out. Critical thinking, we all know what that is, the ability to evaluate whether something's true or useful and how to use it, right? Analytical thinking, the ability to break down a complex problem and work through it. Now, everybody needs help with these things, but the point is, these are the things that are breaking down when we have a weakened thinking system. So these are not small skills, right? They are very big skills that will define your child's ability to navigate literally everything that comes after they are out of school. The good news here, and there is good news, is that atrophy is reversible. Muscles can be rebuilt. Brains can be retrained. Okay, neural pathways can even regrow. But only if we notice it's happening and decide to do something about it, which is exactly what we're doing right now. So I want to tell you something personal, because I think it will land very differently than just any statistic I could throw at you. About a year ago, I was working on a project and I caught myself doing something that stopped me dead in my tracks. I had let AI draft the whole thing, not just outline it or edit it, okay? That was my usual go-to. I'm big on letting it outline, but letting it structure it, and then that final point at the bottom where AI just doesn't support my thinking. It shapes it. It replaces it. I recognize myself in that picture. And here's the thing, I teach this stuff, neuroscience, cognitive habits, emotional intelligence. I know better. And I almost didn't notice I was doing it. That's how subtle the slope is. It doesn't feel like a slide. It feels like efficiency. It feels like smart use of a good tool. And in some cases it is. But there's a line. And the line is this. The moment AI starts to make the decisions for you and you just approve them, something big has shifted. Letting generative AI do the thinking for us risks weakening human capacity. And that's not me being dramatic either. That's the research. And it means we become passive participants in our own lives. Think about that phrase for a second. Passive participants in your own life. You're still there. You're still technically in the room, but you've handed the controls to something else, and you're just along for the ride. Is that how we want to live? I know it's not. Okay? That's not who you are, and it's not who I am, and it's not who you want your kids to be. So the slope starts gentle. It starts with convenience. It's so easy, and that's exactly why we have to be paying attention, because our kids don't have the ability. Maybe we can catch ourselves. Thankfully, I did. But our kids, they don't have the brain capacity yet to catch themselves doing this. They just know it was easier and they got through it faster, and they don't consider any other consequence. Okay. So let's make this more concrete, because I think sometimes we hear passive parenting and we picture someone who just doesn't care. And that's not who is in this room. Everyone here cares deeply. But caring and being actively present are two different things. And I want to draw that line very clearly. Passive parenting in the age of AI has 4 faces. And I want you to see if any of these feel familiar. Not because you should feel bad, but because recognition is the first step. Okay, so first up, handing a child a device without any conversation. Not here are the rules, not what are you going to do on there, not even let me see what you're looking at later. Just here, take this, please let me have 20 minutes of quiet. Listen, who hasn't done that? Who hasn't been there, right? I mean, be honest. We've all done this. Most of us have. But over time, that pattern teaches kids that the digital world is a private world, and it becomes very hard to get back in once that dynamic is set. We don't want kids to think that any technology should be private, because it shouldn't. That's a big deal. Okay, so the second one is allowing AI chat companions with no emotional context. I hope you're not doing this. I don't believe that a lot of people are. I don't want to believe that. However, the studies tell me elsewise. There are apps right now that are specifically designed to be your child's friend, to listen, to encourage, to respond warmly. And I understand the appeal. Kids are lonely sometimes, introverted sometimes, and these tools feel harmless. But a child who processes their emotional world with an AI instead of a human, well, they're building emotional muscles with a trainer who will never actually challenge them, because AI will always be kind, life will not. And the third one, not understanding the tools your kids are using. This is a big one. Okay, it's huge. If your child is using an app and you generally don't know what it does or how it works, that is a gap that matters. You don't have to be an expert, but you do have to be curious enough to ask them and to learn just enough. And the fourth one, and this is the one I think about most as I coach, using AI to solve everything instead of modeling. When your child comes to you with a problem and your first move is to ask AI for the answer, you have just taught them that thinking is something you outsource. But when you say, I don't know, let's think this through together, even before you involve any tool, then you've just modeled something they will carry with them for the rest of their lives. It's important that even though we have these tools readily available, that it's not always our go-to. When adults used to have a conversation before the phones were always attached to our hands, what did we do? We would talk about things and something would come up and I wonder whatever happened to that celebrity, something silly like that, whatever, or that sports figure, or I can't remember what happened, what year was that hurricane even. We used to have to think about it, and we didn't know unless somebody actually legitimately knew. We had to wait until we went home and figured it out, looked it up ourselves, or what have you. What do we do now? Most people, when that comes up in conversation, you're right there on your phone. Maybe all of you are on your phones looking it up. Who can beat it, right? Oh, this is what happened to that person, to that figure in that year. We don't need to know everything at that very second. It seems harmless, but when our kids are watching, that's when it becomes important. Okay, so remember, AI will not raise your child, but it will shape them if you are absent. That is not a threat. It's just the truth about how influence works. Whatever is consistently present in your child's life shapes them, whether that's friends, AI, neighbors, or yourself. So make sure that you're the thing that's consistently present in their life. Besides just waking up and going to sleep and going through the routine of daily life, be actually present in their life. Now, here is where the whole conversation takes a turn. Because up until now, I've been pointing out the problem. And I don't want to leave you there because that's not useful, and frankly, it's not fun. So let's talk about the reframe. That's what I do. At the top of the slide, it says something I really want you to hold on to. AI is a tool, only as effective as the person using it. A hammer doesn't build a house. A skilled carpenter with a hammer builds a house. AI doesn't raise a resilient, curious, emotionally intelligent child. An engaged parent using AI well, that will help to raise that child. So the question we've been asking is, should we use AI? And that question has run its course, guys. AI is here. That ship has sailed. The useful question, the one that actually changes outcomes, is who is leading the interaction? Is AI leading? Meaning, does it generate and you accept? Or does it suggest and you just go along? Does your child ask it a question and take the first answer without a second thought? Or are you leading? Meaning, do you bring a question to AI with your own perspective already forming? Do you use it to pressure test your thinking rather than replace it? Do you sit with your child and treat AI response as the beginning of a conversation, not the end? That is the whole game. That's what separates families who thrive in this environment from families who get swept along by it. Who is leading the interaction in your house right now? What's your honest answer? And it's okay if your answer is you're not so sure, because this is not something we often have thought deeply about. It's new to most of us, right? This concept of who's leading and how much influence AI has is very new. So don't feel bad about it. Just be honest, because as soon as you know what's going on, you can do things to change it if that's what you want. So I want to spend a minute here because the opportunities we are ignoring are important. I think this is a slide that often gets skipped in conversations, especially when it comes to AI and kids, and it really shouldn't be. So we talk so much about the risks, and the risks are real. We just spent several slides on them, right? But almost never talk about what we're leaving on the table when we let fear run the show. I know a lot of people who come to me and they say, I want to join your program, or I've been in your free community and I love it, but I'm afraid of AI. I don't know what it could do. I don't want it to know my whole life. Listen, fear is not a good thing when you allow it to run things for you. Just like anything else, you need to do your research and know what there is to fear and not fear. I don't believe we should fear AI at all. We should fear the way some people use it, or the fact that we don't know exactly how to use it. That is a fear. But to learn about it, that's not a fear. That's easing. That's taking the fear away. So here's what AI can genuinely do for you and your family when it's used with intention. For moms who are building businesses, and there's a lot of you out there, I know, I work with a lot of you, AI can compress the time that it takes to get from idea to execution dramatically. Research that used to take hours, it can do in minutes, sometimes seconds. First drafts that used to take days, in a blink of an eye, right? It can organize a launch plan that used to require hiring someone to do. AI can help with all of that. Not perfectly and not without your judgment, but significantly free up your time. For the chaos management that's inside of everyone's life, AI can help you organize a plan to get healthy if that's what you want. It can think through systems in a way that actually reduces the cognitive load on your brain. It can help you with things like menu planning and organizing simple things so that what you are doing at home, you have more time to spend with your kids. You don't have to say, I don't have time to sit and watch what my kid's doing on that screen. You'll have time, because if you allow AI to do the things that are trivial, you can do the things that matter, right? Okay, so we all want more energy to do the things that actually require us to do it. For research and planning, whether that's for your family, your work, or your kids' education, AI can find information much faster and help you think through angles that you might have missed. This is important when we have so much on our minds that we cannot focus on one thing, never mind 5 different things or 20 different things, right? And then nothing gets done. AI can help that. If you have a neurodivergent brain, AI can help a lot with that. I'll talk about that in a little while. So for your kids, when used ethically, meaning with a parent involved and with critical thinking baked in, AI can help a struggling learner to access material at their level. It can get explanations in different formats, build understanding in ways that traditional schooling sometimes can't accommodate. The key phrase here on this slide especially is the one in the box. AI should amplify executive function, not erode it. Now we've all heard about executive function, right? Executive function is your brain's CEO. You've heard me talk about it if you know me. It's the part of the brain that prioritizes, regulates impulses, and makes decisions. AI used well gives that CEO part of your brain better information and more time to think. AI used passively fires the CEO and puts a chatbot in charge. The opportunity is very real. Don't let fear make you miss it. All right, we're shifting into the practical section now because I promised you tools and I deliver on my promises. 3 rules, simple, doable, and all designed around the same principle. You stay in charge, and the first rule is about what you're looking at on this slide. That beautiful tangled mess of knots on the left and the clean straight line that comes across. That is your brain before and after you stop trying to hold everything in your head at once. So here is rule 1. Let AI handle the tedious stuff, like I said before. Things like scheduling, formatting, summarizing, the administrative layer of your life that eats cognitive energy without producing anything meaningful. So when your brain is managing 47 things at once, what's for dinner? Did I send that email? Does she have practice tomorrow? When is that deadline? What does that word even mean? Did I pay that bill? You do not have the mental space to think creatively, to connect deeply with your kids, or to make good decisions. Neuroscience calls this cognitive load. When it's too high, executive function degrades. AI can carry some of that load, actually a lot of it, and when it does, you get your brain back. That's not laziness. That's working at the level that you are actually capable of. There is a difference between avoiding thinking and freeing up your thinking capacity for the things that deserve your attention. Your relationship with your kids, that's something that deserves you, right? It deserves your attention, all of it. Your big creative ideas, they deserve it too. And the meeting where you need to be sharp, that deserves it too. Use AI to clear the clutter so your brain can do what only your brain can do. This is important. This is why I tell people, please, even if you don't need to use AI for your business, use it for something trivial. Even if you don't need to. Even if you don't feel overwhelmed. Use it, I don't know, a couple times a week. Why? Because I'm going to tell you why in a minute. But besides that reason, it helps to train AI better. It helps to train it for good, to work ethically, and in kind ways. This is something I feel passionate about, that everyone treats AI ethically and kindly, because the more you do, the more AI will do the same. And I'm not talking about it coming back and telling us just we're always right, because it will do that. But I'm talking about the more good people using AI, the less significant any evil people will have on it. Just my theory. It's not just mine, actually. A lot of people feel that way. Okay, rule 2 is especially close to my heart because of the work that I do as CBT coach, and because I know that a significant number of parents that I work with have neurodivergent brains. And whether they're diagnosed or not, they strongly suspect it themselves. So if you've got ADHD, or if you've got a brain that struggles to start, struggles to stay organized, struggles to keep moving once momentum breaks, I want you to hear this clearly. AI is not a shortcut for you. It is a scaffold. This is a huge difference. A shortcut bypasses the work, right? A scaffold makes the work possible. So when your brain is spinning out at the top of a task and you can't figure out how to begin, AI can give you a starting point. When you're in the middle of something and your attention splinters in 6 different directions, right? AI can help you to find the thread again. when your brain wants to do literally anything other than the thing you need to do, I know a lot of people like that, reorganize that junk drawer, whatever. AI can be the gentle redirect that gets you back on track. And here's the thing about non-judgmental momentum. The phrase on the slide. AI will never sigh at you. It will never make you feel bad for needing to ask the same question again. It will never get impatient when you start and stop and start again. It certainly will never roll its eyes at you, because it can't. It just helps you to move. So think of it as the assistant that never judges you for needing a nudge. For a lot of brains, that removes a barrier that is bigger than most people realize. And this is not about doing less. This is about finding a way to actually do the work that your brain has always been capable of doing. So here is the plot twist. And I love this slide because I think it genuinely surprises people. We have this assumption that using AI more means thinking less. Like more AI input equals less cognitive output. And in passive use, the kind that we've been warning about through this whole presentation so far, that's true. But in active, intentional use, the opposite is true. So look at what's on the screen. AI can draft the email. It can't decide, though, if it should be sent. That little distinction contains an entire philosophy. Deciding what matters, that requires your judgment. Deciding what to ask AI in the first place, that requires clarity about your own goals. Evaluating whether the answer AI gave you is actually good, what does that require? Critical thinking. Adapting when the plan shifts, that requires flexible and emotional regulation. Making the ethical calls about how you use the outputs, what you share, and what you act on, that is all you. Using AI correctly is actually cognitively demanding. It requires you to have a strong enough sense of your own thinking that you can tell whether AI is helping it and whether AI is replacing it. And that takes practice. It takes intentionality. It takes the exact kind of active engagement that we've been talking about during this whole presentation. So if someone ever tells you that using AI means you're taking the easy way out or you're lazy, you can tell them that using AI well is actually harder than not using it at all, because it requires you to stay awake and it can enhance your focus. That's not a small feat, right? Okay, we're in the home stretch, guys. Now, this is my favorite part because this is where everything we've talked about becomes something you can actually do tomorrow morning. Active AI leadership at home for parents. These 4 things, just memorize them, okay? I'm not big on memorizing, but this is important. Number 1, ask AI for options. Then choose deliberately. Instead of AI, what should I do, which hands over the wheel, try AI. Give me 5 different approaches to this situation. Now you're the decision maker. AI is your researcher. That is the right dynamic. It's great on research. Number 2, ask AI to challenge your thinking. This one surprises people. You can literally say to AI, here is my plan. What am I missing? What could go wrong? What am I assuming that might not be true? That is AI making you smarter, not replacing your intelligence, okay? Learning is good. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. Number 3, use AI to draft, but refine in your own voice. Whether it's an email, a message to your kid's teacher, a social post, a business proposal, let AI give you a starting structure. That's fine. Then put yourself into it. Edit it until it sounds exactly like you. Your voice matters. Your perspective matters. Don't let it get swallowed by whatever generic tone AI produces. And don't let people tell you you can just tell AI all about you and it could write exactly like you. Listen, it could do a lot of things. And it can come close, I'm not going to lie. But AI has known me for about 5 years now, And you know what? I still have to edit a lot of what it says. A lot. Okay. Number 4, teach your kids to question outputs. So important. This is the one that compounds over time. Every time your child uses AI for something, and they are, whether you know it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, you can't ignore it. Use it as a teaching moment, not a punishment, not a confiscation, but a conversation. That note at the bottom of the slide says it perfectly. We are moving from outsourcing thinking to leading interactions intentionally. That is the shift. This is the whole thing. The whole thing, guys. Now, for the kids, and these 3 questions on this slide are ones I want you to print out, put on your refrigerator, use whenever your child shows you something AI told them, okay? Why do you think it answered that way? It's important. Always ask why. Even if it's obvious, ask why. This question does something powerful. It invites your child to think about the AI as a system with inputs and outputs, not as an oracle, not as a friend. It starts to build the understanding that AI reflects patterns in data. Because we could tell the child that all the time, 100 times. But until they start to see it, it doesn't really sink in, okay? So yes, AI reflects patterns in data, not truth. And it keeps your child in the position of analyst, not passive receiver. And then what might it be missing? This teaches intellectual humility. And not just about AI. It teaches kids that no single source has the whole picture. That smart people ask what's not in the answer, not just what is. This is a skill that will serve them in reading news, evaluating opinions, doing research, and eventually navigating adult life. We all know that person, right, who only listens to news from one source. And what happens? It's all one-sided and often closed-minded. That's not what we want for our kids. And then the last question, how would you verify that? This is the critical thinking muscle. Not is AI right or wrong, but how would you know? Teach them to cross-reference. Teach them to ask another source. Teach them that certainty requires evidence, not just confident sounding answers. You know, I volunteer at the elementary school all the time, every week. And I mostly work with a first grade teacher. This was years ago. I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I heard her for the first time. She's a great teacher, by the way. She's like a top-notch teacher. She had her whole class sitting on the floor. They were doing a reading lesson. She was reading a nonfiction book to them, and every now and then she would stop and ask a question, and she would say, so how do we think this is fiction or nonfiction? And a child would raise their hand and answer. She'd say, so how do we know that? What's the evidence you have? These are first graders. In the beginning of the first grade year, I'm like, do they know what evidence is? They did, because she's a great teacher. What I'm saying is, if first graders know that you need evidence to prove a fact, then what happens? Kids forget. Even adults sometimes forget that. Things are not a fact unless there is evidence to back them up. Okay, so teach your kids that early and often. And the line at the bottom of this slide, by the way, says everything. You are teaching discernment, not avoidance. We are not raising kids who are afraid of AI. We are raising kids who can outsmart it, who can use it and not be used by it, who know the difference between information and wisdom. That, my friends, is the goal. So take a look at this image. 2 sides of a gap. One gray, one green. The real divide is not access or intelligence. It's not which family can afford the better tools. You would think. Some people think that's true. It is not. And it's not which kids go to the better schools. The divide is between families who consume AI passively, like we've been talking about, we don't want that, and families who lead with it intentionally. And I want to be clear about this. Passive consumption, what does that actually look like? Well, it doesn't look like neglect. It looks like busy. It looks like overwhelmed. It looks like everyone in the house on their respective devices, everyone technically using AI, but nobody is at the wheel. Nobody's asking the questions. Nobody's connecting the dots. The tools are running the household. And then there are families on the other side of that gap. They're not necessarily using more AI or better AI. They are using it differently, though. They're asking questions instead of accepting answers. They are involved instead of absent. They're teaching their kids to think alongside the tool instead of surrendering to it. So the green side isn't perfect. It's not a household of AI experts with matching branded water bottles and a whiteboard full of prompting strategies. It's just a family where the adults are engaged, curious, and paying attention. You're already most of the way there because you showed up here today. Trust me. I want to end with this. The future will not belong to the families who avoid AI. That ship has sailed, and avoiding it is not a protection strategy. It's just delay. The world your child is growing up in and going to live in the future and work in runs on these tools. Keeping them away from it entirely does not make them safer. It does make them less prepared, though. But the future also will not belong to the families who surrender their thinking to AI, who let it make the decisions, shape the options, do the work, and receive the credit. That family is raising kids who are technically capable of using powerful tools and fundamentally unprepared to think for themselves. That's not what we want. I don't know any parent who wants that. The future, the green side of that gap, the thriving side, belongs to the families who refuse to surrender their thinking, who stay in the driver's seat, who use AI to amplify what they already are capable of, not to replace it. So yes, we need to step up, do the hard work, maintain your cognitive agency. That phrase, cognitive agency, is the title of this whole presentation for a reason. Agency means you are the author of your own actions. Cognitive agency means you're the author of your own thinking. That is what we're fighting about, for ourselves and for our kids. So here's what I'm asking you to do before you go to bed tonight. Have just one conversation with your kid or just with yourself. Ask one of those 3 questions that we talked about and catch yourself when you start outsourcing the thinking that you should be doing yourself. Use AI for one tedious task so your brain is free for one important one. That is a win for everybody. You don't have to overhaul everything today. You just have to take one step to the right side of that gap. You've got this, and I'm here for you every step of the way. If today resonated with you guys in any way and you want to go deeper, I run a free community called Raising Digital Natives. It's over on Facebook. We talk about this kind of stuff every day. There's lots of free resources in it. Sometimes I do lives there too. There's no panic, no judgment, just parents figuring out this thing together, okay? It's a new group, so you won't feel out of place. Trust me. Okay, and as I said, you can find it over on Facebook. Just head over to daclife.com and the link will be on my website, or I'll also put it in the comments section here. And if you're ready to get a handle on AI as a parent and not just getting by, but actually lead with it, then check out AI Without the Panic. It's a 10-day sprint. Don't worry, it's only 10 minutes a day. You get an email in your inbox. It's a 10-minute read, and you get free resources as well. It's built specifically for parents who want to go from overwhelmed to actually confident and dig a little bit deeper. So the link is also on my website and in the comments. Check out these programs, see which one is for you. And again, thank you so much for being here today. I know how busy you guys are, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch this whole presentation. It was a little longer than usual. Now, go be the most intentional person in the room. You've got this.